Good day, folks. This is Greg Judy at Green Pastures Farm. Today we're actually over here on the farm we call Docks. It's one of our larger farms that's owned by one landowner. And I know it's a little windy out here. The wind just picked up, but I wanted to show you. This is the pasture that we brush hogged back the first week of June. We haven't grazed it since. We were on about. Time we get here, it's going to be about 80 days, 75 to 80 days recovery. This is all brown 10 days ago. Well, we've caught the rains. We've had, I don't have my day timer, but we're over 6 inches now. We just got another 1 7/8 inches last night. Unexpected, they weren't forecasted for, but we got it and we're very tickled with that. But if you look out here, everything's turned green. It's actually took off growing. A lot of the plant tips actually grew completely back. They've got tips on them now. Instead of being blunt on the end, they've got points. And this is going to be some really nice grazing for our livestock. The boys started down at the bottom as they were grazing this, and they split it in two. And they pretty much spent all day over here moving the cows every 30 minutes. So this is before it was brush hogged. So they put them in at 1 million pounds. So they put 1 million pounds of beef on 1 acre. And they did the math, they calculated it out, they stepped it off and made sure they had the right size. And they moved them every 30 minutes. And those cows just kept eating. Every time they'd move that fence, they'd eat, and they'd just mowed it, beat it up with their hooves, put a lot of good litter on the ground. And when they finally got up here close to this tree, they stopped because the cows wouldn't move anymore. They were so full, they're like, no, we just can't get another bite. And so at that point, they gave them a bigger paddock for the night and they left. But, you know, that's kinetic energy. You get a lot of animal impact from the hooves from doing that. And this is unbelievable. I mean, it looks like a lawn out here. The grass is just it's very palatable. I'm gonna reach down here and show you.
Well, just show them how deep it is first.
Yeah, it's clear up here to my elbow now. So we've grown 12 inches of grass in 10 days. That's how quickly this grass came back. Folks, I can't overemphasize the importance of leaving some residual. Just take it all grazing or whatever you want to call it, where you just take everything. I forgot what they called it. It's a good way to go broke. If you can't irrigate and you go in there and do this total grazing where you're just destroying the landscape, you're taking everything off the land and leaving bare ground, it's not going to grow back. I mean, if we'd have done that in April, May, we'd be out of business. We'd have had to sold the cow herd. So be careful. If you can put down rain, take it all if you want. But you got in the real world where it doesn't rain for 4 to 5 months, you better leave some residual out here. Because folks, we caught all the rain. We caught it. We held it on the landscape, and that's why it's green like this. Okay? We just caught another 2 inches last night. You can go down to that creek down there. There's going to be a little water flowing, but it's not going to be bank full. And that's because all the water stayed on the hills up here where it's going to grow you some grass. I can't overemphasize the importance of leaving a solar collector intact to catch sunlight. Sunlight's the only free thing we've got. Everything else you got to pay for. So leave a solar collector. That's what this is. Take the top off with the cow. Leave this to collect the sunlight to grow your grass back. If you take it off like that, you're not going to catch any energy from the sun with that. I mean, it's going to take forever for that plant to grow back.
Because it's got to come from the roots.
It's got to use from the roots. It's not using the sunlight anymore. So you're no longer in the solar energy conversion collection business. I call it you're grazing the roots off your farm. That's what you're doing. So be careful about that. We got a really nice litter bank underneath us here. There's bluegrass now coming on. This is what this is. This is all bluegrass.
Let's show them that litter bank underneath if we can. If we can.
Well, the earthworms are starting to work on it.
So they have, yeah.
Yep.
Not much left.
Yeah, there's not much left right there. But we've got, the ground is covered. You can't hardly find any bare ground around here. We've got bluegrass, orchard grass, brome, fescue, red top.
The cool seasons are starting to express themselves.
They're starting to come. The cool seasons were vacant for a while with that hot temperature.
Let's go up here on the ridge where they didn't do that.
Yeah, So up here we're going to show you an area that you can show before and after, but we did not brush hog off. We left this intact because we weren't sure it was going to rain. So you got to be careful when you brush hog in a drought. If you take it off and it doesn't rain, you may be out of grass. So we've got a really good comparison up here. This was not brush hogged off, so you still got all the dead thatch mixed in with the green. But you know what? There's still a ton of feed in here. The cattle on the part we mowed off is going to be more palatable. Okay, so you got to be really careful and watch that, because here we are, August 13th.
12th.
August 12th. Folks are growing winter stockpile, and if you take off too much right now, it's not going to have time to grow back. But I want to dig down in here. Oh yeah. There's our litter. This is what caught the rain last night. I mean, the rain couldn't have the rain couldn't have ran off this field even if it wanted to. It just couldn't go anywhere. Look at that.
It's like a sponge.
Big old sponge. Yeah. There's worms. There was a worm. He just stuck his head down. He took off. Oh my gosh, I haven't seen a worm for 4 months. Look at that soil. Folks, that's healthy soil. Very healthy.
And why is that healthy soil, Greg, instead of just...
It's crumbly.
There you go.
It's crumbly. It's going to grab moisture.
It's got...
Oh, gosh, that's...
Well, and then look, you've got this root structure running through there.
Yep. It's easy to dig through. I actually found a mole hole here. A mole tunnel. That's why it's coming out there so easy. Everybody hates moles. I don't hate moles. They're actually aerating the soil for you. Let me dig over here. Oh, there's one. I knew I saw a worm. Folks, we hadn't seen a worm since March. It's amazing with a little rain. Well, there's another one. There's another one. 3 worms in that one handful. Those are nice ones.
You're not going fishing.
Nope, I'm gonna put them back in there. There's another one. There's 4 worms in that one handful of grass. So when you open up your soil, folks, make sure you cover it all back up.
You might want to stomp on it a little bit.
No, it's fine. There, that's good.
Okay. But now let's look at the plants and the plant height compared to what we just saw with the brush hogged.
Yeah, so our plant height in here is going to be a little taller, just mixed in with, there's more weeds in here. Here's a common ragweed. I'm not going to pull that because the cow's going to eat that. Over here is some summer annuals.
The native warm season grasses.
Yeah, this is one that are absolutely going to tear up. So our plan is, we only brush hog off maybe 3 or 4 paddocks on docks. The rest has not been brush hogged. So our plan is to hit this first. The areas we didn't brush hog, that's going to give us another couple weeks on the parts that we did brush hog to get up a little higher. Because folks, right now we've got about 60 days left of growing winter stockpile. October 10th is our first killing frost here in Missouri.
Maybe.
Well, normally. You got to go by what's normal. So we can grow grass up until then. So we're going to leave it taller. We're going to move them faster. And by doing that, we're going to give them a bigger area just to make sure they don't take it down too short.
Okay, and also by leaving it taller, you're leaving a blanket, which delays the killing frost.
It does. It helps insulate the roots. So very good point, Jan. So if you do get a cold night in October and you've got a really nice blanket over the top, the plants don't know it's time to stop growing. They just keep growing. And Ian Michelinus from Africa was here in November one year, we're having a grazing school, and he pointed out to the class that our plants were still growing in November, and that's because of all this thatch that we had protecting the roots. The roots were not getting the hard freeze. They just kept on growing.
So the killing frost in October, if you manage properly, isn't going to really set you back too bad.
No, you'll continue to get new growth.
Now, how can you be stockpiling, but yet we're going to bring cattle through here? We've got 90 days. So how are we going to do stockpiling? I'm really confused.
You got to keep moving them. You got to give them bigger areas. You got to move them faster. So by giving them a bigger area, they're only going to take one bite and leave. If you crank your animals down now,
it's going to be like over there.
Yes, if you get them down too tight, they're going to take too much off, and then you're not going to have enough time to grow it back. We did a really good study here several years ago. Isaac and I, we drove a stake in a pasture, and we measured plants that we grazed off to 4 inches and plants that we grazed off to, I think it was 8 inches. Between 4 and 8. We left double the leaf area. The one that was grazed off to 4 inches, we came back in 45 days, it had grown about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. The one that we left at 8 inches, it was up to 13. Okay, that's a big deal. I mean, you start thinking about that over 200 and some acres of forage, you grew a lot of feed just by leaving it taller in that fall grazing cycle. Because folks, we graze all of our farms. People talk about, oh, I'm going to do some winter stockpiling. I'm going to stockpile the back 40. Well, you can do that, but if you graze correctly and you're moving your animals, and you got to watch them, don't let them take it down too short. You can stockpile your whole darn farm. Yep. So we graze around our entire farms normally 1 to 2 times through the winter time. So, yeah.
Yeah, because it is kind of confusing when you're saying we're growing in stockpile, but you're still grazing.
Well, what's the advantage of having your whole farm stockpiled in the winter? Well, we know in March what happens normally. You have March mud month, and you need this extra part of your farm to keep moving those animals. If you only have a certain portion of your farm that you can graze and you get into a lot of mud, how are you going to keep them out of the mud?
Right, and by not grazing it really short, you still have a good root structure underneath.
Yep. It's
fine. To help push more leaf, yep, and to hold the animals.
Hold the animals up, that's right. So we're really ecstatic. I mean, my goodness. I calculated up the inches of rain we've got. Since August 2nd, we're sitting at 7 3/8 inches. And today is the 12th. So in 10 days, we've got 7 3/8 inches. And you can just see it. I mean, my goodness.
The ground's going, ah.
Oh, I'm doing ah.
Yes, you are. And I don't have to, yeah, I can tell the attitude's different in the house.
Well, when you're a grass farmer, you can do everything you want, but you can't make it rain.
No.
And so you got to manage for what you have, and plan for what you want, but manage with what you have. So with that, I'm going to get out of here. Everyone hit that subscribe button on the way out. And those of y'all still on the fence about the grading school, hope to see some of y'all there in September. It's
we
second week.
Yeah, the 8th and 9th, and we have some spots still left.
Yep. So maybe some of y'all will be there, and look forward to meeting some of y'all. Have a good one, and hit that subscribe button on the way out. Thank you.